we're going to get started. One more time, the FX method. This is Pablo Ortiz, and we're going to talk today about scalping systems. They're a great favorite of a lot of people, and I guess I would like to know how many of you scalp actually the markets. Would be nice to know, whether it's manually or with trading systems, whether you have it automated or not. Somebody any experience with scalping, manual scalping? So I saw half and half. What do you mean by half and half, Paul Pierre? Half manually and automated, or half scalping, half training, or no? Dogan, be more precise in your answers. Just curious. The other people as well. There's new people here. So Paul Pierre, automated to go and manually to come out. Great. Okay, not bad. You're not a scalper. Okay, Dogan, no problem. So great you're here. Well, I started out as a scalper. Actually, I started automatedly. And one of the big hits was for Turbo back in 2008. And end of 2008 and also beginning of 2009, it was a great bot to trade. And then I started with a manual trading in parallel to Turbo in the Asian scalping session. So I can tell you a lot about scalping actually. And I was doing both. I was semi-automatedly trading, and then on the 7th of May 2010, I got a big hit on my account with the Greek crisis. I think it was the second big Greek crisis actually, and that was it. That was it for manual trading, and I started to diversify. That was the beginning of my diversification. So that's already 6 years ago. Almost 6 years ago. Okay, so let's get started. What is actually the FX method? Is we propose that you do things differently. If you have been trading and you haven't been so successful so far, it means that you need to change the way you do things actually. And our proposal is that you first automate, and second learn to optimize and to combine systems, because it's not only just about automating. That's really not so difficult. The difficult part is really when to trade whichever system, and when to know how to make portfolios and to have a robust portfolio trading. Okay, so today we'll be talking about scalping. That's the syllabus. We're going to be here around 1 hour. We'll define what is a scalping system. We will see that the entry is life or death. There was a video yesterday, actually it's already uploaded in our channel on trend systems, which are actually almost, I would say, the complete opposite to scalping systems. So if you want to complement the webinar of today, you should watch the video of yesterday, which is already uploaded. I'm going to put the link later in the chat, so you can do that. And then I'm going to talk about certain families, subfamilies of scalpers, and some characteristics and disadvantages and advantages of scalping systems. That's going to be the subject. You can interrupt me, no problem. I'm going to talk about the lecture, about the offer that we have with AxiTrader, because I never put it at the very beginning. Many of you have already the bots we have, but we give 2 quite good bots for free. You just need to open a $2,000 account with AxiTrader and fund it, or a $10,000 account, and you'll get all the, well, not all, but 31 pairs of historicals, with many of them more than 14 years of data. I can give you the data up to yesterday, because we're preparing the data for a new course, which we're having next week actually. So I can give you the data up to the 11th of February, completely without any gaps actually. So that's the offer with AxiTrader. So we get to the lecture. What is scalping? Scalping comes from the English verb to scalp. You know what the scalp is, right? And scalping is actually what the Indians did on the rednecks or whomever they found in the Wild West. You know, what we mean by that is basically a very quick transaction whereby you buy a product. Let's say you buy a chewing gum bulk, right? And you buy this chewing gum for £1, and you are selling it at the door of the school for £1.01, and that cent, that pence you're getting, that is basically what you're earning on your scalping. It has other definitions. I went to Wikipedia, and funnily enough, it has also other definitions which are not so nice, which mean actually front running and other things which are not so neat and so beautiful. That's not the definition of scalping we're using. Actually, I don't have it here now in Wikipedia. I closed that, but just look for it. and you'll see that that's not what we mean by scalping. I would say in my definition, which is the second line here, it's basically anything in Forex which will make a quick transaction. I would say it's around 10 pips or less. Even 12 pips, I would call it scalping, right? And I would say it's something that has a very low holding time. The holding time is the average time of a trade in the market. Normally in scalping, in the Forex market, it depends very much on the pair, but I would say, for example, the holding time to make 10 pips in euro-dollar takes around 1.5 to 2 hours. To make 10 pips in the cable takes more time, surprisingly, 3 hours maybe on average. So I would say the holding time is around 2 to 5 hours. That would be scalping. Of course, there's trades that get solved in 5 minutes, in 1 minute, but we're talking here on averages, right? So when you're trading something that is being traded in around 2 hours, and you're going for 10, 12, even 14 pips or less, you're scalping, okay? If we watch a football team, a soccer team, the scalper is the striker, right? It's the atacant. It's the guy who is at the front striking the goals and bringing the goals home, right? So you should have many of them if you are being very aggressive in your portfolio, okay? You should have many of those. We'll see how many at the very end of the webinar. What is very important, and many people don't do, is that to trade scalping, you must have short ratios. Short ratio means actually that the take profit is usually less than the stop loss. So this means if I put the entry as a gray color, that's the entry point. I'm going to make now a long trade, okay? And how do I change the color here? My goodness. I am drawing with the wrong thing. Okay, so usually some manual traders will tell you that they trade 1-to-1 in scalping. Let me tell you that's a blatant lie. If you really fix a stop loss and you want to go for 10 pips and you want to put the stop loss at 10, statistically you'll be losing money all the time. I mean, I've optimized so many systems, and it's impossible to trade on a 1-to-1 ratio in scalping. It doesn't exist. So what we do in scalping, usually the take profit is smaller than the stop loss. This is very important to be understood, and this we call a short ratio. Short ratio, okay? It doesn't mean we're shorting. It means that the proportion of the stop loss is always, the stop loss is always further away than the target in scalping. In almost, I would say, all types of scalping, actually. So it would look more like this. Okay, 1-to-2, something of the sort, 1-to-2, 1-to-3. Understand? Being on the right side, the stop losses, right? Here, we have stop losses. So scalping is always, or should be always, a short ratio game. So this means when we go beyond 1-to-1, we need to go beyond, sorry, 1-to-1, I meant here, we need to go beyond 50% of the times to be right? If we're trading 1-to-2 on average, we need to be 66.66% of the times right. If we trade 1-to-3, we need to trade at least, just to be break even, 75% of the times to be right, and so on. So scalping has a very high percentage of earning trades. Okay? So this is very important in order to define scalping. Okay, questions? Or just put in the chat you got it. Whichever feedback is good, because sometimes there's not much feedback in these webinars actually. You should be more proactive in participating. Okay, great. Some people got it, so I continue. I would say there's 3 important families. There's many more types of scalpers, but I would say there's 3 big families that you find if you're looking at commercial systems in the Forex market, systems that are being sold or systems that are being shared. I would say there's 3 big runners. The biggest one was the Asian scalper. This was very popular in 2009, 2010. Now not so popular. There's a lot of names that were being traded that were Asian scalpers: Fab Turbo, EA Boss, Ea Kain. There's many bots, Fab Turbo, that were running, and they were basically just Asian scalpers. One of the things we do in the advanced education is to recognize them. So they were very, very popular. Why? Because a perfect range is formed in the night in London, 22 p.m. London time. New York closes, and Sydney opens at the same time. It works actually like this. You can check it out yourself. You should know the schedules very well in the Forex market. Basically, New York is closing now at 22 p.m. London time, and we have here the New York close, right? And we have at the same time, I'm going to take brown. So we have our special colors. Brown stands for Aussie, for Sydney, and here Sydney opens. Sorry if I don't draw very well. This is a close, so it was the wrong color, whatever. Sydney opens at the same time, and funnily enough, 1 hour before, at 21 London time, Auckland opened. You know that Auckland is 1 hour before Sydney, right? That's the very first market. Well, there is some islands in the ocean around there. I think 1 or 2 hours before Auckland, but they have no markets. Okay, so we can disregard those, right? So the first market opening is actually New Zealand, right? And it opens 1 hour before Sydney, and we have Auckland opened. We have here Sydney opened, and New York opens. Of course, Europe is sleeping, right? And Tokyo is sleeping still, or they're just waking up, but the markets are not open. And we have 2 hours, I'm going to put it in yellow, till the Tokyo open. And these are the so-called, I'm going to put here what basically happens in the prices. We get a range. We can go now to the charts and check it out. Just check it out every day. We have a perfect range, and that's called Asian scalping. And I wonder why they call it Asian scalping, because there is no Asian country involved, actually. So it should be called actually the oceanic scalping. But everybody is talking about Asian scalpers when they mean this, actually. So it's a misnomer, okay? So this is the oceanic scalping, and it's basically a range trading. You sell here, you buy here. And one of the bots we're giving out is doing exactly this. It's trading at these hours. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt this. You put here the hours, you put here the GMT, which is the difference. It's 2 hours, whatever. It's just a calculation to GMT, and it trades at 21 plus 2, which is 23 my time, which is 22 your time, actually. So that's great, because that's exactly when Sydney opens, right? So it's an Asian scalper. But it's an Asian scalper at this hour, and at this hour it's not an Asian scalper anymore, and it still makes money, which is great, actually. You can trade it at other hours, okay? So let's go back to the drawing. So that's it for Asian scalping, and the Tokyo Open can be very, very volatile. And the trick here was to make the money in these 2 hours, because when Tokyo opens, there is sometimes breakouts here, and we have very close stop losses, and we may hit here on this trade a stop loss of 20, 24 pips, and that's not the game. So some people, like me, we were closing the trades before the Tokyo Open manually, okay, or trying to find better routines to make this. Even some bots have this, actually. So this family is very, very strong, and as it says here on the slide, only Australia and New Zealand are trading, which are very small markets, actually, in volume, and that's where your targets are very low. You go for 4 pips, 7 pips, but the stop loss is also very, very tight. 20 pips, 25 pips. Sometimes I got in sets with 18 pips stop loss. I managed to do that, actually. And the holding time is very low for an Asian scalper. It will be 2 hours in the market. You should avoid always the exact opening, because it's what we call rolls. Rolls is the bank closing internationally. The books of the banks close exactly at this hour. And it's very dangerous, because there is spikes, there is the spread widens. So you should be starting at 21.01, 21.03. And some bots do that. They have a little bit of a delay, and it depends also very much on your broker. So you should be very aware exactly at this hour that the spreads are widening, and you should be watch where you are trading. We'll get to that later, because scalping is very, very broker dependent. Completely different to what we talked yesterday on the trend systems, right? Okay, another subfamily which is very, very became later popular is a 24-hour scalper, such as Wall Street Forex Robot, and there's many others worth mentioning. And they, of course, need longer stop losses. You're trading on the daytime. There's more volume. You cannot have a stop loss of 20 pips. Makes no sense in the daytime. So you should have the stop loss further away. Sometimes you manage to make a stop loss 38 pips. It's unusual. 40 pips, 50 pips, 60 pips, 70 pips. Some bots bring in 120 pips from factory, which is a mistake in my view. And because of that, we need to have longer targets. We have to go for at least 12, 15 pips. Otherwise, there's no way we're going to make money if we have the stop loss at 70, right? So, because of that, the holding time is longer also. That's one way to recognize them. The very first way to distinguish these two is when are they trading. You could go to any account in my FX book. We could make the exercise actually right now, and we could check, and I could tell you if it's an Asian scalper or not, depending on the trading hours, right? And if you see it's trading the 24 hours, we go here, sorry, and this was unprepared, and we can go here and just find some scalper. It's going slow. There we go. And for example, this one even better. It's the same bot with different parameters. And what we find here is that if we go to the analysis and we check the hours, for example, what matters is the open time. You have it here actually. That's a 24-hour scalper, right? It's not manually trading in the nighttime. Okay, there's a lot of trades. This is still Asian scalping, but that's not what we mean by Asian scalping. 2 in the morning is Tokyo market, an Australian market. I think at 4 Dubai opens, if I don't remember wrongly, and at 5 Moscow opens, right? And Dubai doesn't make much volume, but it moves a bit at the start of the hour. Moscow moves a little bit sometimes, and then of course the Frankfurt and the London openings are very strong. So it doesn't make much at this hour actually, but that's a 24-hour scalper. And if we would be looking for another bot, for instance, Turbo, or I could show you one account of mine, whatever, just look for any, let's look for one that looks more or less decent, whatever. I just check, I didn't even check those accounts, I'm just looking, and we do the analysis here. That's an Asian scalper. Do you see that? Another thing, target, right? We're talking about the target. What's the average target here? Smart people. What was the target on an Asian scalper? I mentioned it before. 4 pips on average. What's the average stop loss, right? Let's watch the other one, Wall Street Forex Robot. Oh my goodness, I closed it. Let's do it again. Let's erase that. And what's the target here? You see that? It's very smart because it doesn't hit the stop loss. It goes for a longer target. Look, the holding time, 4 hours on average. We would check by pairs and you would see the pound takes longer. Look, the holding time. Well, that's strange that for Turbo needs 5 hours to close. It's not usual. It usually closes earlier, but whatever. That's an account from somebody. It's a demo account, actually in London, with pounds, but whatever. Okay, so it should be lower here for the Asian scalper. So this is the point, that's the way you distinguish them very easily. And there's another type which is important, but you cannot trade it on every broker, which is basically a volatility system, and I call them impulsive scalpers. What they do is that they go when there's a big candle, big sign that there is the movement is in this direction, and they go usually for smaller targets, 5 pips, 6, 7, 8, 9 pips. Actually, even sometimes even smaller amount of pips. One of the famous ones is what's the name? My goodness, it was the millionaire whatever bot. I don't remember now. I will remember now. But it didn't work in many brokers because it was going for 2 pips, sometimes 2.5 pips, and of course it has to do a lot with execution. what we do in impulsive scalping is basically go with the flow and maybe trade on 50-minute charts. Sometimes even they're done on 1-minute charts when there's a very strong volume impulsive candle, and that definitely is not doable in every broker. So I would say these are 3 important subfamilies. There is more, okay. We go more in depth into this subfamily thing and family thing in our advanced education, in our paid education. And one of the things you can learn, like I did a little bit now, is to recognize the systems, even if you didn't do them, or to understand what the systems do, because you'd say you would buy these robots, which you could do actually, but you wouldn't understand what you're doing, right? You're trading for turbo, you know it's an Asian scalper. You need to learn first what you're trading, and usually you need to re-optimize it. Okay, so the first thing is recognizing what breed of cat we have here and how long is this trade staying. You see, that's classical Asian scalping, right? Very little time, but this swap turbo is opening at the early morning. That's a strange way of optimizing. You see that there's many trades that open on the European opening, while it should be closing in the night. You see that? 11, that's too late. That's probably the optimization of this person, right? It exits too late, in my view. Okay, so questions about these 3 subfamilies? Was it clear, the differences? More or less clear? Great. Okay, next topic. What is important in a scalper is the entry. We were talking, this is actually one of the exams questions we make in our course. We ask you by family type, and you need to say immediately what's the key point in this type of family. I said yesterday in trend trading, the exit is crucial. You are always late when you are trading a trend, so I wouldn't care that much about the entry point, and I would care majorly about the exit. In the scalper is the total opposite. The scalper is the striker, right? So believe me, if Ronaldo, whomever, Messi or whomever, is shooting, it's not the same you're here, right, than you're here. Chances are you'll be shooting better if you are exactly in the right moment in the right spot. So, and this is so paramount in scalping systems, and many people forget that. And it's even more important than the exit in the trend system is the entry on the scalper. You really need to be very, very good at optimizing, and this pip difference, sometimes it's even half a pip, makes the whole world, because of this half a pip you're exiting in the right moment. Let me show you maybe on the charts so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. We could be taking here, for instance, I don't know how the night was, probably very moving. Let's take here the euro dollar, whatever, the bot we don't need. Okay, so let's take here the night. Let's find a night which is very pure here. That could be okay. You see, this is Tokyo. This is. I'm going to put my colors, which means Australian opening, brown, and Tokyo opening, yellow. And I'm going to go down now in time frame. That's my color codes, right? So I'm going to go down here, even here. I don't think it was a great night because there was a very ugly candle there. No, it's okay. Perfect range. There we go. So this is Asian scalping. I'm going to put here some. I'm going to create the Asian box. It's either here or here. Whatever. Let's do it properly. I'm going to put it in brown. That's what we could call the Asian box, which is not the Asian. We said it already. It's the oceanic box, right? There we go. More or less. Okay. And what we have here, and if it would be good, we could put I love Kellner channels. I don't have them here, do I? Otherwise, I could put whatever, another channel. Whatever. The point here is that, believe me, entering here or entering up here can make the whole difference between hitting the target if we sell here, we make 8 pips easily. You see that? In 15 minutes. You see? And if we buy here, it depends how Tokyo opens, right? But we would be also doing well. Would be doing the 7 pips. So we would have here 2 trades, really, at the upper part of the channel, on the lower part of the channel, which are winners, right? They are not even close to the stop loss, right? The stop loss would be on this trade around 20 pips. Far, there is no risk in yesterday's night in doing Asian scalping. Sometimes there is risk because exactly the banks, the Swiss National Bank, the real experts, in throwing liquidity at 2 in the morning. I saw it very often. You're trading the Euro Swissy, and they start moving the pair exactly in the night. So be careful on that. But in this case, we have, and stop me if I'm too fast, but I see it very clearly. Here it's a sell, here it's the exit, here's a buy, here's the exit, even if Tokyo opened. This is basically what we are doing in Asian scalping. So it's very crucial. Sometimes you'll be entering here because you're doing it probably on the tick or maybe on the 1-minute chart, and it's obviously better to enter up here. Just wait these 2-3 pips, and maybe you can do it manually. But when you're trading with bots, it's not so easy. So the entry point is very, very crucial. Exactly, you know. How do I find the exact entry price? There is, Philip, one video of mine which is up in the channel. I can give you the link now, which gives you a system for Asian scalping, and it gives you the exact rules. I just draw a calendar channel and a Williams percentage. That's one choice, and it will delimit when you are above the channel exactly. You know, I can draw here a channel anyway. Let's draw here envelopes, which is probably better now than with a better, longer deviation. Wow, sorry, too long. Let's make it shorter. Let's make it here like this. Let's try. You see the envelopes are not that great. I'm tweaking too much maybe. There you go. You see? I'm above the channel. I would need a confirmation, right? But that would be a sell trade, right? And that would be here a buy trade on this long tail, right? For example. But it's not great envelopes. There's better channel indicators, such as calendar channel and others actually. But that's basically, I need to define first the channel and see when I'm overbought and when I'm oversold, right? And then enter. That's basically what all Asian scalpers do, and they have a lot of complex routines. What for? To better the entry, because maybe the original system told me your entry is here, right? To tell me your entry is here, but maybe it would say, let me wait 3 candles if I can better the price, or let me calculate the channel this plus an additional formula, or let me calculate the channel depending on volatility. That's why I like calendar actually. It's a pity I didn't load it, but there is a video in the channel. You can check that. Okay, so that's the whole game. The whole game is to earn this extra pip here and earn this extra pip here. And that's the whole game, not only in Asian scalping, in any kind of scalping. This additional entry, this running this running in this direction, right? You could shoot here, right? You're the striker. You could shoot here, but this additional 5 meters, they're paramount, right? So this is what we're doing in scalping all the time. That's why I call scalpers strikers, right? It's very, very, very similar to soccer. Yes, so we want to be in front. We want to be secure. That's the strike. That's going to be a goal when they shoot, right? So this is the whole game. I don't care whether it's manual or automated scalping. Of course, in automated scalping, it's much more complex. I need additional routines. If you watch Fat Turbo, I have the source code. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I do. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. You watch. It's plenty and plenty of routines just to better this, just to better this slight entry. I don't care if it's 0.2 pips. I just want to be closer to the gate. Okay, so that's the whole thing. You change slightly the entry rule. you change slightly the moving average. For example, we can improve a system just by, if you had, for example, an exponential moving average, and you take another moving average, there's the DEMA, you can check for it. And it's a slight derivation, a slight change of the exponential moving average, and it will improve your system, okay? Or if you had a Williams percentage, you can modify it. Or if you had a stochastic, maybe I'm talking too much and many people don't even know what I'm talking about. Does everybody know what is a stochastic and a Williams percentage and stuff? They're basically just oscillators here. Let me show you here how they look. Actually use standard deviation to define the channel here, whatever. Don't want to confuse now. Let's go down there to the oscillators. And what we do here is like we put here classical for scalping, Williams percentage. And it confirms, you see, it says here, I'm above the channel, yes, and here, Williams percentage is above, it goes from -100 to 0, and it tells you here, yes, I'm overbought, I can sell, and here I'm oversold. You see, it wouldn't make the trade here. That's great. It would confirm only maybe here or maybe here only, right, on this candle. So how much, that's a perfect example actually. By the way, I didn't prepare it, but usually you would say when you are out of the channel, right, you are below the red line, you would buy, but as you haven't confirmed here, how many pips more are we earning just by entering a bit late? We're earning 4 pips. You see that? 3.8. I don't know if you see that on the screen. And this 4 pips is the difference from being here to being here. In this case, it was not 5 meters, it was 3.8 pips. And I prefer to shoot a buy trade here than here. I prefer to enter buy here, when it's confirmed, here, right, than here. That's 3.8 pips difference. See that right away. I can put it even bigger. You get my point. So in scalping, every routine, everything that makes you wait or just shoot a bit later. Sometimes you will lose shots, of course. You're waiting, you don't confirm, and you miss it. You know? But in the end, it's all a statistical game. Okay? And in optimization, that's the other thing that many people miss. They are working maybe in the routine, and to better the entry, and they don't optimize this routine. You need to spend time in optimization. You need to be a master optimizer, really, to just get this extra pip, this extra 2 pips. If you're going for 5 pips, 1 pip is life or death. Believe me. You're going just for 5 pips. So of course 3 pips are crucial. You know, it's the difference between closing the trade or never closing it and hitting the stop loss. Imagine if I enter here the trade, and when I start earning only 3 hours later, right? And if I enter here the trade, or was it here, right? I start earning already after Tokyo opening. I'm already earning 1 pip. It's not much, but I'm already in earnings. This little difference, you see that? This 4 candles delay, 20 minutes later, that's a better entry. Okay, you just need to grasp this conceptually, right? That you understand in scalping, entry is crucial. You need to improve in code, in rules, and you need to improve it in optimization. And the other thing, to shoot better shots and have more goals, you need to filter the hours. You need to know when you're trading. You need to know exactly what are your good entry hours, what are your bad entry hours, right? For instance, we could take, for example, this commercial bot that we saw before. Sorry, where was that? It was here, Wall Street, and we just by simply, let's take only the pound trades, so we do the analysis professionally, which is a great track record. I mean, it's 3 years and a half, right? 100%, 3 years and a half, live account, okay? And we will analyze now, and we would go and say, okay, you know what? Why are we trading at 11? There's a lot of losing trades, or 21. You know, let's try to take these hours out. Yes, only these 2 hours. And this will help your scalping system majorly. The open time will take out 11. Maybe I'm too fast, but I saw a lot of losing trades there, and we make 120%. I just took 1 per hour. You see that? And it never occurred to the programmers that did this EA. It's amazing, right? So simple, actually. So simple. I made 20% more just by taking the bad hour. It's very obvious to me. There you go. Okay, 11 is taken out. You see that? Okay, so that will change. I didn't prepare that, right? I didn't prepare absolutely the MyFixBook side. I prepared the slides. I prepared my MetaTrader. I didn't prepare that, but it happened. It's obvious, right? So 2 things: entries and good filters, hourly filters. That clear? Let's continue. Great. Next thing. I say it one more time. Okay, the entry is extremely sensitive for Scalper. Forget about the exit. I mean, don't forget, of course, but don't put your emphasis in, oh, where's the exit? You'll find the exit. Even if you put a fixed TP, take profit, you say, okay, that's it, 5 points. It will work. It's like being in the soccer game, right? Believe me, if you are 3 meters from the gate and you are in front of the gate and you shoot, you're going to make a goal. There's no way you can make anything wrong. I know, yeah, but it could be actually that I only earned 3 pips, right? Because I was shot from here and I only made 3 pips and I could have made 10 pips. Who cares? You know, just put a fixed TP, 5 points, 4 points, whatever, for Asian scalping, or 10 points for 24-hour scalping, and if you are in the right moment with the right force, you're in the game, right? That's why, for example, impulsive scalpers are so good when they're running well, because you know it's going up. You know, that's very, very important. You just need to be in the right timing. You get that? With the right impulse, and that's it. So it's very, very important. You do this in 2 ways. In coding, with your rules, right? And in optimizing. Got that? And if you don't do this, you don't know how to deal with scalpers. You really miss the whole point. Okay, I ask my students always, scalping, you need to tell me in your dreams, right? Somebody wakes you up and says, scalping, entry. Trend systems, exit. Like this. Okay, with no delay. Okay? So, how can you improve a bad scalper? Very easily. Now you know why. Okay, just add smart entry rules. Improve the entry. Filter a bit the hours, or not only the hours, maybe the volatility. Make good filters and optimize properly, and you will be amazed. Even a bad scalper will become a good scalper. It's only about the timing. You know, bad scalper is probably shooting from here. You just need to move these 3 pips close to the gate. You're done. Okay, just apply it to any scalper. Okay? Great. Having said that, we'll recap now what are the strengths of scalping systems. Okay? The scalpers, and that's why I love them. I was really a fanatic of scalping. Okay? Actually, when you start trading manually scalping, you become addicted, and that's very bad actually. Okay, so scalping systems, they have the highest efficiency per hour. I call it the salary. It's actually a coefficient I developed. Let me show you how it looks on my software, if I manage to put my software here. But basically, I'm dividing 2 things, and the formula is very simple. You have here, or let me show you here actually, easier on my MyFixBook, because I don't have the software ready. But it's very simple here. Look, you're earning I took the bad hour, right? You're earning on average how many pips? Help me. You need to participate, guys. How many pips I'm earning on average? Help me out. 11. Great. In how many hours? In how many hours? On average, 5. What's the salary per hour? Help me. What's the salary per hour? Salary equals expected payoff. That's the expected payoff in pips or in dollars. I don't care. Divided by holding time. When I mean holding time is average holding time, right? I'm making 2 pips per hour. That's excellent. You'll never get that on a trend system. Never, ever. It's a lot of money per hour. It's a lot of money. You'll never make it on a trend system. I don't care how good the trend system is. That's why I love scalpers. Because your salary is huge. The efficiency per hour is very high in scalpers. Very high. If we took any trend system, for instance, the one we give out for free, and you would make this division I just made, which you should actually, you can take and you can make actually the game in backtesting, you can do the same. For example, no, if you have here, sorry, you have here a backtest for the scalper, right? What is the expected payoff? 265. The problem here is MetaTrader doesn't tell me how many hours I'm in the game. Only my software tells you. Okay, but let's say, for instance, I would be in the game 2.6 hours. I would be making $1 per hour. That's a very low salary, right? But it's a very high salary for a trading system that has very low risk. $1 per hour. Get that? And if you take a trend system, the other system, and you make this division by the hours it stays in the market, you'll be staying on average 3 days, right? Scalper is more efficient by time. You got that? The other thing about the scalper, they catch very long positive streaks, right? When you're right, when you catch the right market conditions, like we had yesterday on the euro dollar, you saw that? Great market conditions for scalping on the Asian session. You see the box is perfect, right? 1 sell, 1 buy, we're done. And we do this on 4 pairs, 5 pairs. We could have done yesterday 10 trades easily. I could put here the euro pound. I could put here the cable. I'm pretty sure they were sleeping, right? There was a lot of movement before, the days before. But yesterday, before Friday, today was a calm day, more or less, compared to the days before, right? Okay, so if you could be able to recognize that in advance, you could scalp in the nights, you could make 10 trades in the night. And if you know the next days are going to be calm, so to say, you would have a streak of 10 winning trades in a row. You follow that? And that's great in scalpers. It's the total opposite to a trend system. In a trend system, you will have an incredible trade, maybe 2 in a row, and then 10 losing trades, small losing trades. In the scalper, you will have 10 winning trades and 1 big loser. 10 winning trades and 1 big loser, like that. Okay? So that's very good. Once they work well, they stay well, if they work well. Okay? And because of that, they're very easy to detect when to stop. Okay? You can stop a scalper easily, well, easier than a trend system. Okay? You know you're winning, pum, 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 one after the other, right? You can see that one more time here in this MyFX book account, which we saw. And we could go here to this 24-hour scalper, right? You will see the streaks. I mean, you will really see this is the right market condition. Look, 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 look. Boom! It made 50% in from 1st of April to 8th of June. 3 months in a row. Boom! Look, it doesn't work anymore. Then another whole month earning. You see that? That's classical for a scalper. Of course, Faisal, too much volatility is bad for a scalper. That everybody knows that. But how do you detect it or filter it out? Not so easy to code. Not so easy, right? The good thing is, look at the streak. And it's incredible. It makes in a row a lot. So that's really one of the strengths of a scalping system, right? Too little volatility is also bad for a scalper, right? You need to have the right volatility. Not too much, not too little. Okay? What else? They help psychologically because you are earning above 65% of the times, right? Let's watch it one more time here. And what is the percentage? The winning, wow, it's 75% of the times. You're right, you see that? Longs is 76% of the times. 73% on the short, 73% of the times you're right in shorts. Average is 75%. Psychologically, it's for me it's a beauty actually. You know, I prefer that psychologically to a trend system where I have a great winning trade of 3% and then I need to take 20 losing trades, right? But you will see that once you combine them both together, you really have a winner, like the free EA we give out, because we have the Scalper and the trend system are the right best combination because they balance them, each other out in the weaknesses. Okay, and also very good for a scalping system is the trade is decided very quickly in 2 hours. You know, I'm losing or earning 2 hours. Boom, next trade, 2 hours. That's fast. It's a quick decision, right? It has to do with the same point here, with the same point one. They are very efficient. You don't need to wait forever in a scalper to know what's happening, whilst in a trend system, you can be waiting weeks sometimes for it to close. Of course, you are already earning after several weeks, maybe, probably, but the holding time is very, very long in trend systems. Okay. Questions about that? I'm going to talk now about the other strengths. Because of that, they're easy to optimize. Actually, the best way to introduce somebody into optimization is give them a scalper. There is nothing wrong you can do with that because it's basically moving a little bit the stop loss, moving a little bit the take profit, and you're done, really. And the beauty is you can do it at home, really. I mean, you don't need, so many people, they have problems with trading because they need to trade at an hour, they have different schedules at work, and in automated trading, you sit at home, you take a scalper, start with a scalper, start optimizing. There's even people here, I was told they are already earning with our free EA from London. We gave it out a few months ago. And just watch our videos. You don't even need to come to the free, to the paid education. You should. Yes, try it, Dogan, in a demo and then on live. And start with the scalper. It's easier, okay? Because they are strong in profit factor. They are strong, actually, the profit factor is the economical efficiency of a trading system. It's basically for every dollar that I earn, how many dollars will I get back? Or for every pound I invest, I get £1.36, which is amazing, actually. And they have usually good profit factors, scalpers. So they're good combiners. You know, it's like they combine like in a cocktail. Lemon would combine almost with every cocktail. So the scalper is the lemon, right? You can do a lot of cocktails with lemon, right? So the best software to analyze reports, Faisal, will be our software. It's not on sale yet. It's absolutely nothing compared to everything which is out in the market. I'm serious. Okay, I hope in 1 year, I think 1 year, we're coding. We started a lab in Eastern Europe, but they're slow. This is a slow start, and I hope in 1 year it will be on sale. Otherwise, I would recommend you take my FX book. It's for free. You can also analyze backtest in my FX book or MetaTrader, but it's very limited MetaTrader to analyze reports, right? Okay, so because they have good profit factors, they combine very well. And the other thing about scalpers is that, which doesn't happen with trend systems, is that I, for example, did you do a scalp on euro-dollar, and you say, okay, let's try it on the cable, and it will work. And it's not happening with trend systems. I'm sorry, but not. You can have a trend system on the euro-dollar. It's a beauty on the euro-dollar, and you go to another pair, and it quite doesn't work the same. And in a scalper, it does. This is really great about scalpers. I tell you, when you have a scalper, you tried it on a pair or an instrument, it works. Try it on another pair. Try it on another one. And usually you'll find 4 or 5 instruments working out very well. And that makes scalpers very strong because you can combine, right? You can trade the same scalper on the euro dollar, on the cable, on the euro Swissie, on the Kiwi, on the Kiwi dollar, and it's great. You can multiply your earnings, okay? And it's also easy to develop routines to stop them, right? You need something to stop systems, trading systems. So in scalping, it's quite easy to know when you need to stop the robots, right? Which is not so easy in other families, right? So if that was clear, let's go to the disadvantages of a scalping system. The flaw of a scalper is the payoff. The payoff. They have very low payoffs. I showed you before, right? I showed you here the back test. On the scalper, we'll get only $2 payoff. That's very low. Of course, we'll get $2 in 2 hours. That's high. But if you go to the trend system, same. It's a different robot, but same pair, and just same period from 2005. Everything the same, pretty much. I don't know if it's actually the right. Yeah, we would get a very much higher payoff in the trend system. We will get here $26. I explained that yesterday, actually. It's in the video if you didn't come. And it's a huge difference, right? To expect $20 per hit, or to expect 2, sorry. So that's really a disadvantage. You get little bits. Of course, you could say, okay, then I'm going to put instead of 0.1 lots or 0.1 pounds per, if you're spread betting, right? And I'm going to put a pound. But then you are actually not considering your risk level, so you're doing things wrongly. You cannot say because it earns little, the scalper by trade, right, that you're going to put the lots as times 10. It makes no sense, okay? So that's really one of the disadvantages of a scalping system. The other disadvantage is that it usually starts, it's really Murphy's Law. When you scalp, it usually goes like this. You're really starting a trade here, and you're supposed to making here a buy trade entry. It's a buy trade. You'll have your stop loss further on the take profit. We told it before. Let's say 1 to 2, right? And it's really magic. Instead of doing like this, it goes like this, right? You always start in negative because you are paying the spread, right? You lose some pounds here when you enter the trade, but in most of the times you're starting losing. And this is called negative excursion. You usually start with a negative excursion. And of course that's not great psychologically. You see, you start and you lose, and maybe you're 50% far from your stop loss, and then it's going to be a positive trade, but only after a little while. So the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, usually you start losing. And you start with negative excursions. That's a disadvantage. If you're trading manually, there's no way you can have a set and forget scalping system. If you're trading manually, scalping, you need to be in front of the screen for the 2, 3, 4, 5 hours the trade is open. There's no way you're going to trade scalping in a set and forget way of trading. I tell you right away. Whomever sold you this is a liar. Directly. There's no other name for that. If you're scalping manually, you need to be in front of the screen. Period. So that's a disadvantage. Or you automate it. But you cannot leave the trade alone. Okay? If you trade manually, that's also a disadvantage. You can really commit high mistakes of wrong money management and wrong risk management. You maybe will put too many lots. That's very usual actually in scalpers that trade manually, and you'll go crazy with your risk levels. So be very careful because it's very easy to miss the mark of risk levels in scalping, right? Be very careful on that end. Okay? Another disadvantage, you need perfect, I'm going to put it like this, broker conditions. You need really a broker which is better than average. I'm very happy with AxiTrader. Not because I'm lecturing with them, right? Because I met them a long time before I started lecturing with them. Because I'm really happy with execution. I'm even more happy with the spreads. And that's one of the things that you learn in our paid education, how to evaluate a broker properly, how to analyze their spreads. That's part of the education. We call it sensitivity test in the paid education. And you need to run this test. You need to check the same scalper. Do it with the free robot. I mean, it's open. Just put it on another broker and compare. Yes? Of course they're open. They're open because it's exactly the time of the rolls, which I told, right? So you need to be careful exactly at 10 p.m., yes? But not on every pair they open so much. You should start the trade 2202, 2203, not exactly 22, you know? Faisal is asking whether it's better to have commission-based or spread-only FX accounts. It all depends on your trading style. Usually in scalping, it would be better to have a lower spreads, right? But in the end, you need to check out how much, compare both. I would trade on both and find out in the end what is better. But usually it's better to have lower spreads for scalping, right? Because you'll be earning, this negative excursion will be shorter, right? If the spread is wider, let me draw it actually. If the spread is wider, this negative excursion we had here, this is, for example, the spread. This is what you're losing at the entrance. Let's say this is, for example, a lower spread broker, and this spread would be double. Your excursion will be getting in the positive. Needs more time. Needs more spread, more price to overcome this spread. So it's better for scalping the lower spread, of course, right? But in the end, if you pay a very high commission outwards, you need to count all together, okay? Yes. Okay. So we continue on that. Yeah, Philip is mentioning that on other crosses it's even more. Yeah, but I don't trade at 22 sharp. You shouldn't do that, okay? Because then you're going to get hit very often. So you should know that scalping is very spread sensitive, and then you should really work it out how to do that. And of course, 22 p.m. is a very sensitive time. Ted is asking a very good question. For the 24-hour family, you're trading all the day long, so you don't have the problem of the 22 p.m. issue. And you can even write some code and just put a filter for the first 3 minutes after 22 p.m., right? So you don't exactly start at this hour, because really the other way is very simple. Don't trade, and it has, our robot has this, very simple. It has here a parameter, and it says, if I'm above 4 pips, I don't enter the trade, period. So you're safe. That's my maximum spread. I don't accept the spread beyond 4 pips, not on the euro dollar, definitely. Why trade? Makes no sense, right? You could put it to 3, even more sensitive, right? Or if you are in exotic pairs, you can put it to 7, and it won't trade. You can program that, and that's a spread filter, right? And that's another way to overcome that. That's a very good question, Ted. If you're really trading a 24-hour scalper, you have only problems a little bit in the night, but the rest of the trades you're safe actually. So, but it's spread sensitive. That's it. You need to know that. Okay, it's really a disadvantage. You don't have this in the trend system. Okay, not everybody can trade scalping. You should really know that. Not every psychology will go with scalping. Not everybody will accept the moving of the price so quickly. Not everybody will accept you're losing suddenly 100 pounds or whatever, and you're earning 50 pounds suddenly, and then again losing 150 pounds. Not everybody can take these excursions, right? Because usually in scalping, because you have tighter stop losses, you're putting more volume in your trades, and not everybody can take this. So it's not for everybody. Okay, that's very important to know. Okay, and the other big disadvantage in my view is really that the expected payoff is really very low. If you have a very good scalper and you put it to the safety net, which is part of our methodology, part of the FX method actually, to put it to some risk levels which make sense, And if you haven't been to the lectures, you have to come to the free lecture, to the next free lecture in London. It's on the 12th of March, and we have another lecture next Friday, actually, for 1 hour in the Forex show. I will put the links later. The thing is that maximally a scalper will do $10 on right risk levels. And $10 per trade is very low. You saw the other one, it made $2.60 or something. And $2.60, you say it's very little money, it only corresponds to 0.626%. And you say, well, it earns very little, but you know what? You may be trading a scalper 2 times per day. So you may be trading it 10 times per week, right? Whilst a trend system, you may be trading it once per week, right? So in the end, you'll be earning the same. That's what people don't get. You say, in a scalper, I earn less if I trade it properly, and if I don't go crazy with the volume, with the lot size I'm putting, right? But it's trading much more frequently. So in the end, you are earning the same in a scalper than a trend system. You're not earning the same per hour. Don't take me wrong. You're earning more per hour with a scalper, always, right? But you're earning in percentage the same with a scalper than with the trend system in the long run. Okay? Did you get that? But psychologically, you will be earning little bits, only little bits. Whilst in the trend system, if you were in the webinar yesterday, you may be going in a trade and you may make in one single trade 3% easily. But this single trade may happen only every 2 months or only after 1 month trading. Follow? So it depends on your taste, actually. What I suggest is trade both together, actually. That's the suggestion, actually. But this is not the topic of today's webinar. We're not talking about portfolios yet. Is that clear? The disadvantages? How are we doing? Great. So, we cannot say that scalpers are better or worse. I wouldn't say that. As a recap, they're simply another trading style, another trading family. We call them families. And I would say you need pretty many of those. I would say at least 5, actually. Five strikers in a team, at least 3, and different ones. That's the idea. Ideally, you should have an Asian scalper in your portfolio. You should have, let me recap that, a 24-hour scalper. And if you manage to get an impulsive $1 million pips, $1 million pips is an impulsive scalper. It doesn't work with many brokers, right? So if you manage to have all 3 of them, you're doing great. And these 3 systems on different pairs. Okay, you could have the Asian scalper on the Euro Swissie and on the Euro Pound. Sorry, because I write very badly. You could have it on the Euro Pound. That's a classical Asian scalping pair. We can comment on that if you want. I can do even only a lecture or 2 lectures on the Asian scalping thing, one of my favorites. And then here we'll be trading the cable, which is very good for the 24-hour scalping. And something impulsive is the pound yen. Sorry. You see that? So we'd have here 5 players on 3 different logics. That's the good thing. I have all the sources for myself. Don't ask these questions on the chat. Okay. Okay. So that would be like the right thing to do. You know, like if I'm a coach, like Del Bosque or whomever, I don't know the English coaches. I need to learn them, right? I mean the soccer coaches, right? I would combine 3 different logics for scalping. I would not only have one. I need to make a team of 11. I told this in Moorgate. I tell this every time, but I need to make it in a sensitive way, in a sensible way, right? That makes sense. So don't put just only Asian scalping. Don't put only 24-hour scalping. Try really to divide your risks, because when the Asian scalpers don't work, probably when this pair is doing badly, this one is going to be doing badly as well. So try to diversify, not only in pairs, in instruments, but also in logics, right? And if you do that, plus what we told yesterday, the different types of trend systems, if you were yesterday, let me share now the link of yesterday's lecture, right? I don't know if I have it here. If not, we can send it by email. Here you go. 1 second. Trend Systems. Hope it doesn't start. Sorry. There we go. I'm going to put it on the chat here. For people watching this video, it's in the channel. Okay, you just find it in the channel. If you're watching this video, that's you got it, right? Okay. It would be great, guys, if you subscribe to our channel. We need to reach 100 people. So please help us. Subscribe to our channel. It's really of help. It's quite a new channel. So please subscribe to it. Here's the channel actually. Let me share it, and you would help us a lot. Okay, great, Paul. Thanks very much. Okay, I'm done basically. We're over time. We're 7 minutes late. Just 2 quick questions. I know that scalping is a very passionate topic. It's really a very interesting way of trading, and just shoot a couple of questions just very quickly. I don't think you'll join so quickly, but that's the big course. We probably will repeat that in the near future, but if you're still thinking about it, you can do it. Okay, and if not, just shoot a couple of questions. And put the offer with Axie one more time here on the screen. In case you want to have a scalper, you can get it for free and just tweak with it and play around. You can do that as well. Questions? If there's no questions, we go home. Or if you're at home, you can go dinner, actually. Okay, so I'm going to close in on this. We're going to send you by email. We're going to be in London. I'm going to talk about the myths of trading. There's a lot of myths going around. Thanks, Faisal. Thanks, everybody. And I hope to see you in London next Friday, 12:40, okay, noontime. It's going to be, I think, in Novotel Hotel in West London. And let me see if I have it here, the link. It'd be great to see you. And we're going to give you a link so you don't pay the ticket. You're going to save £25 if you come through a link. We didn't send it out yet. I think Olga's going to send it out on Monday or Tuesday. It's near Hammersmith. Thank you, Paul. Yeah. And it should be great to meet you there. Yes. And otherwise, come to our event in March. Let me see here. What was it? It's a London Forex show. Let me see if I can find it here. London Forex show. There we go. Here it is. Oh, there's the video. 1 second. Let me take the volume out. Just 1 sec. I'm trying to find it. There we go. You're going to get the free ticket through our email. Some people get bounced emails. I don't know what's happening, really. Some people, and it's not you guys, because I don't think you blocked us, right? And we give a lot of quality, really. I mean, I spent 2 minutes just to talk about my paid courses. I don't talk. I really give content in the webinars. I mean, in everything we do, actually, it's our thing. So what is it? London Forex Show. Here it is. Speakers. I don't know what it is. Investment workshops. It's maybe here. Events. Investment workshops should be here. I think so. It's in the theater. That's the workshops. Nope. I'm not sure. Whatever. You'll find me over here. The London Forex Show. This is the link. I'm going to put it here. And you're going to get the email. You're saving the £25. Come over with this free code or whatever they give us. Yeah, Philip, I'm flying on Friday evening. It's tough. Yeah. Me and Olga, we go together to London. We fly on Friday morning, very early, 6 a.m. because we have a course exactly on Saturday. It's tough. We maybe meet in the airport, actually. I don't know if you guys are flying. Are you flying Ryanair, or there's different flights? The last one is Ryanair. Norwegian. Maybe that's our flight, actually. Which time, Philip? Maybe we're flying in the same plane, actually. Are we go EasyJet? Midday? No. Then we don't catch each other. Okay. Why don't I drive from London to Madrid? Oh, that's tough, I felt. No way. Can be done, actually. There's the ferry. There's the ferry in Santander. No problem, actually. A lot of people from the UK come to North Spain. It's very beautiful over there. Spend vacations, and it's not so warm as the south, actually. And they love it, Santander. A lot of cars from the UK driving down. Okay, guys, I think we're done. Maybe I can make one more webinar next week. I'm not sure. But after that, I'm going to continue. It would be great if you send us some feedback to the email. What kind of topics? I can continue with families. We still didn't talk about breakouts. We still didn't talk about range systems. We still didn't talk about arbitrage systems. There are so many trading families to talk. I can continue with that, or I can go to other topics. Whatever you want, just drop us an email and tell us what would you like us to continue about. And if I didn't prepare the questionnaire today. Portfolio management, okay. Philip, you'll be covered. Don't worry. You'll be really covered. It's more about the other guys. Topics analyzing trading systems. Yeah. It's basically coefficients. We should talk more about numerical analysis. Like, for example, I explained today the salary. I should tell you what is a good salary, what is a bad salary, and stuff like that. Risk coefficients and stuff. It's also a webinar we can do. Or we can just round up. If you want, guys, with breakout systems, you need to know about breakout systems, the characteristics, and we can round up with breakout and range systems. Range are very difficult. Counter trend systems. That would be 3 webinars, which is really actually 2 weeks of work or 3 weeks, and maybe then after in April we continue with other things, right? I suggest that just to continue on the topic. So we have the whole thing. We did trend, we did scalping, and we need to do breakout and range and counter trend. At least it's 3 to understand. Arbitrage is very complicated. It's a very advanced topic, but we could also do that, cover. We could talk about grid systems. That would be another webinar. Hedge systems. That would be already 2 months, actually, of topics. But I think the 3 thing, and then we go back to portfolio management and other things. There's a lot to do, actually. Okay, great. So it was great that you came over this Friday, and we're going to keep it at 8 p.m., maybe some Saturday in the morning as well, but otherwise it's going to be always 8 p.m. sharp London time. Okay? Great to talk to you guys, and we'll meet you soon, hopefully next Friday in London. Bye-bye.